What exactly are the Akashic records? You might have heard the term before. Let's break it down.
Yeah. I'm inspired. I'm inspired.
Hey there guys, how's it going? My name is Sumedh Chatterjee from the Flow Zone Academy, and I help you feel better and perform better, okay? Now, I received a question a while back about the Akashic records. At first, I didn't want to really make a video about this because I didn't know too much about it until I started to do a lot of internal and external research. The internal research has been done by Horus, or Heru, who is, the sky god. Akasha means sky, okay? It's the ether. By the way, I have a guide for each of my chakras. I think that chakras are archetypes of our consciousness. So everyone can contain at least 7 guides. Maybe 9 if you've really transversed the 7, which is the soul star and the earth star. So we're slowly going from the age of information to the age of attention. If you've ever looked at the Horus eye, that is the symbol of focus. But we can access the Akashic records through our consciousness. And it's not this kind of pseudo-scientific thing that a lot of people are talking about. To me, it really makes sense from what Carl Jung calls the collective unconscious, okay? So it's basically like this hive mind of data, this biocomputer. It's a vibrational field of everything that has happened ever. Every single thought is collected and downloaded from there. To be a code breaker or a person who decrypts the codes, you have to tap into the Daka priest or the Dakini energy of simply holding space. These are the tenets. 1 is you want to be holding space. Number 2, you want to practice this sense of cutting through illusion. You are the one who is the Skywalker, in a sense. If you know of Skywalker in Star Wars, you understand that, he is a Jedi. Void Walker, you could say, a spacewalker, is someone who explores the internal world. They're an internal traveler without obstructions or restrictions or blocked roads, in a sense. Now, Feynman was a very intelligent man, in my opinion. He stated that electrons from our brain can be impacted through quantum waves, or the invisible forces. And he related this back into quantum entanglement theory. I don't know enough about it to speak about it, but you can do your research and find a lot of links to this. And I would definitely also check out his book if you are interested in delving further into this. Essentially, you are transcending the physical body. You're tapping into a state of pure truth. It's beyond the mind. It's the control of the elements, like the mystic or the seer. You know the robustness you get from a physical practice? If you have a mental practice or a meditative practice, okay, which is the Dharma, you then start to get the same kind of rejuvenation, vigor, lust for life, energy, zest. So in that space of emptiness, all possibilities exist. And this is a possibility of a pure archetypical essence, or an archetypal essence. So what I mean by pure does not mean super clean or something like this. Pure just means the embodiment or the epitome, the greatest example of that archetype would be matching the archetype. You might have a combination of light and dark to be fully integrated as well. But you must tap into that 0 point, that zero consciousness, okay? That state of holding space, creating space, being the embodiment of spaciousness and radiance. So you're getting these radio signals from your brain antenna from this radiation that is invisible to you. I love working with EMF blockers, and primarily I find myself much more fine-tuned into that field when I'm coming from adding 0 toxins in my mental, physical body, okay? Tesla even mentioned it himself, that there's a core from which all information exists. Thought transference and channeling or channelers can access this Akashic field. Also, psychics who can foretell the future, things like this, they're accessing that field. So there's a story of a woman, actually, her name is Baba Vanga. Actually, Bulgarian scientists tried to study her because she was completely blind. So accessing the Akashic records has nothing to do with your five senses. It's the extrasensory perception, okay? Baba Vanga could look at someone and just describe their entire life, like from start to end. Like, she could see your future, she could see your past. You could see all past lives, timelines that go into the future. And her predictions were extremely accurate, right? The same thing with Nostradamus. How could a man like this see these incredible things, or not so incredible, but even some very radical things happen, right, in the world? How could he predict these things? Nostradamus was a mystic. He used mysticism to do this. Even Nostradamus describes a state of simultaneity of past, present, and future happening all at once. So you do actually reach it through the nowness, the eternitas, the nowness, the eternity that lasts forever in the now ever, as you'd call it. There's also this idea of you are not a genius, you have a genius, kind of like a helper or guide. So that's where the muse comes in. That's where you start to get these inspirations. Enthusiasm, meaning to be possessed by a god or gods. Elizabeth Gilbert talked about this space, this creative space where ideas are just floating around, and she called it big magic in her book, Big Magic, right? She's basically kind of describing the Akashic field, because how is it that two inventors at the same timeline can invent something so similar in two different parts of the world? I mean, there are too many synchronicities to count, too many coincidences and connections like this, where I will have an idea of something, and if I don't act on it fast enough, I'll notice someone else out there with my idea. And I say mine, but it's nobody's to claim. It's nobody's idea. It's just floating around in Akasha or sky, and we have to bring it down and make the ethereal material. To materialize it, which is what a manifestor does. So it's invisible, we can't see it. It's like Wi-Fi, right? It's like you can't really see Wi-Fi, but you know it's accessible when you go to certain locations and there's a modem and a broadband, some kind of a system that generates it. I mean, you guys are accessing this through hidden patterns and codes in the universe through something called the internet, okay? Think of the internet like our hive mind, because the internet has created a hive mind on its own, and it's a dimensional thing by itself. It's a world by itself that we've created that's invisible. Even scientists have a difficult time storing, really pinpointing memories in brains and doing memory work. So your brain functions almost like an oscillator. It sends transmissions, it's a receiver as well, so it transmits and receives information. Also, Senet introduced this concept Akashic records in the book Esoteric Buddhism as well. Apparently, Akashic records, or Akasha, or the sky, can only be accessed through the spiritual practitioner or the enlightened ascended masters and things like this. Let's not overwhelm ourselves, okay? Trying to erase our boundaries and stuff like this. All you need to do is go into the space where everything is possible, where your mind is blank, mushin, and from that blankness, from that emptiness, from that voidness, allow yourself to fill your mind with positivity, with growth, with impact, archetypal images, with things that you want in your life. One of the deities is Narada, who can be associated with this Akashic field. So he had the ability to explore the fabric of divine cosmic order. Another deity, you could say, that would help you with this is Thoth, or Hermes Trismegistus, okay, who would help with your communication, with, looking into the emerald tablets, looking into the perennial wisdom of Hermeticism and things like this. Zero-point energy was also studied by a man named Dr. Laszlo. Okay, I just think of Camp Laszlo for some reason. So we experience this Akasha indirectly. It's not the same thing as intellectual mundane information. This is divine cosmic intelligence that we're downloading from some kind of an iCloud, right? And we go so far as to understand that even people like Einstein has stated that I just got the idea of relativity just plopped into my head. I don't know where it came from. Einstein even said the 0-point energy carries information. What is IT, right? Information technology. Now let's apply this less to the physical world, more to the metaphysical world. And you understand that we're tapping into records, documentation, right? Your eyes are constantly recording, your ears are constantly recording. So you're hearing sounds, you're seeing things, okay, you're tasting things, you're getting reference experiences. This is all your thoughts, everything you're thinking, it's all just being documented and scribed down into the hive mind. So how a community thinks is being impacted by that spider web of the hive mind. You might be feeling at times that I feel like I'm being moved somewhere, right? Like this cosmic intelligence is moving me somewhere. This is where we start to learn how to differentiate between past conditioning and intuition, as well as the hive mind and the conformity functioning in terms of really making the people like one world order type of thing, as opposed to exploring our individuality and our uniqueness and giving us the gifts from access to this metaphysical internet. So I hope this helps you out and it gave you some clarity. I tried to explain it as pragmatically but also scientifically as possible. I don't think you can find a lot on this. I would look into Esoteric Buddhism as a book. Start to see whether you can access these fields. I don't think you need to wait until you reach some level of ascended master, because nobody really knows when they reach that mastery level. Even people getting, awards or belts or, accolades and things like these milestones, they're getting it based on a subjective understanding of reality in this categorization or this hierarchy placement that kind of helps our human brains wrap our minds around this thing, right? So I hope this helps you out today. Tap into the Akashic Records. Let's get it today. Upward Spiral Gang. May we never be the same again. May the flow be with you and stay legendary. Os.